over. But what needs to be paid is $325,564.48. I have a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion by Gary, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Melanie, all in favor?
I have a quick question on
Yeah.
that, Mr. please.
Let's see, our engineer has a representative here, and I had asked him to look at the pipe that we put the extension on. And Justin, did you get a chance to look at that to make sure?
I didn't want to interrupt your executive session. I don't have just.
Okay, this was on paying bills, so I have a motion and I have a second, correct? All in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need to hear three people, at least three people. You can help me out. Minutes. I reviewed the minutes. They're in your boxes. I think you have it. From our regular meeting on September 5th, 2003. If we could make a motion to adopt the minutes as written.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Gary. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. New York Forward, which is a grant that we put in for.
We haven't put it in yet.
I'm sorry?
We haven't put it in yet, right?
Well, it's due next week.
So we're going to be putting.
Below is a listing of potential projects which the village will seek to implement. If awarded, as project must be focused on the downtown as the targeted area. The waterfront itself is not included. However, the enhancement of access to the waterfront is proposed and critical to both connectivity to and from the downtown and surrounding recreational facilities. Station Hill Road is viewed as essential and needs significant enhancement. Facade improvements, which I know the businesses are waiting on. Complete street improvements, enhanced waterfront connectivity, and it goes on and on about Main Street and areas that we can improve, and maybe even, this just came up the other day, maybe even the scenic Hudson Trail down behind the old Grand Union. What's important to the public, if awarded, we would go on. We would undergo a year-long planning process, which would include a formal call for projects, working with the state and other entities to make it happen. So there's nothing been approved. It'll happen after we get the award. Then we'll start looking at what to do with the $4.5 million, as long as it fits the criteria. So. That's public information. If anyone has a question, we'll be talking about it a lot. Yes?
Oh, yeah, Olga Anderson. Yeah, my question is, I believe we submitted a New York Forward in the past, right?
Yes.
So this grant application, and then a lot of a lot of those recommendations, suggestions were rolled up into the update to the comprehensive plan, and I don't think the comprehensive plan has been approved or yet.
Correct.
And so is the New York Forward still rolled up into the comprehensive plan? And I'm not clear.
Well, they're totally two different documents. What would be good if we could show the state that our comp plan involves what we're asking to spend this money for, and I think it does.
That's what I'm curious about, whether or not there's a synergy between them.
There is.
And what's the holdup on the comp plan?
Well, what happened here on July the 9th? There was a flood, and we still haven't recovered. And we're still working, literally, you might not believe it, 18 hours a day. Okay, so the comp plan got put, I don't want to say on the back burner, but it got put over here. But as the board knows, we're resurrecting it. In fact, I said it at a meeting a time or two ago. The board's going to meet, workshop. It'll be for the board to talk about the comp plan, zoning, anything that's in that comp plan, and then we're going to open it up to the public sometime in, I'm sure it'll be October.
I think that some of us were on a committee to help with the comp plan, and I think we wrapped up our work back in May. So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks.
I
It's time.
think, Olga, I see your point. Your point is, we're talking about this new project, the New York Forward, and putting a grant together when we actually haven't wrapped up something that was presented to us a year ago, right? So I guess that's my question. Is this on the agenda, or just to let the public know that we're trying to put paperwork together to submit for a grant? Is that what this is for? Why is it on the agenda tonight? Is it?
Well, because the deadline is next week. I mean, I don't think, I'm not calling for a vote. You want to make a motion not to do it, you can do that.
No. I was just
Oh, okay.
wondering what
Yeah.
the point was.
It's-
So we're
it's
just
part of the
informing the
pro-
public.
It's part of the
That we're
process.
actually
We've been
putting a
public,
grant
we've been
together.
public with that.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Okay?
all right.
There'll be a lot more on that, especially if we get it. Next on the agenda is to transfer funds from the general fund account 7927 to workman's comp 831-40178 in the amount of $10,000. This is to replenish workman's comp account. It's $10,000. That comes from the treasurer.
So moved.
Motion by Jim, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Gary, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next is a request from the Town of Highlands Ambulance Corps to hold the 30th Annual Fall Forwards Festival to be on Saturday, October 21, North Main Street in the municipal lot. Setup time 6 a.m., ends at 5 p.m. Their application is here, the insurance is here, and everything is in place.
Make a motion, we approve the 30th Annual Fall Foliage Festival.
Is there a second?
Second.
By Jim Ramus, all in favor?
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So are you using duct tape again instead of paint?
I don't want them to paint.
That's what I'm saying, so they're
Yeah.
using duct tape.
Next is looking for approval to sign the civil rights certification for the annual plan for housing choice voucher program. It's an annual document that I sign every year. You have it there, don't you? Yes. Motion by
No, go ahead.
trustee Guerrero and second by
Second.
trustee Ramus. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have a resolution of the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees authorizing Elise Trahoon, our attorney, sitting at the end here, as counsel to defend the Village of Highland Falls before the Second Department in the appeals matter of Deborah Copal versus the Village of Highland Falls, New York, Village Board, and Verizon. Need a motion to approve us having Elise move this forward. Answer whatever she has to answer. Is there anything, Elise, you don't have to, is there anything you want to say? Okay. This is what our executive, I can't say that. I just did. Is there a
Make a
motion? Motion by Gary, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Melanie, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And just to explain to people, because there's one appeal after another. She's lost on the lower courts, but she's appealed it repeatedly. It is costing the village a lot of money to defend us from all these appeals. But we're moving forward with the construction and the antennas. So I think a lot of people are concerned that all of these lawsuits are holding things back with regard to our cell coverage and the cell towers. That's not really being held back, but it is costing you as taxpayers a lot of money.
Next I have here is Public comment. Sir?
So, gentlemen, Gary Louts, myself and a couple of the folks are running the Town of Highlands Disaster Fund Committee. I don't know if you saw the article in the Town of Highlands newspaper, but the fund is up and running. Application to be gotten at the Town of Highlands Town Hall and also at the Village Library. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it posted on the Center for Highland Falls website due to a technical difficulty, but the applications are out there. The committee itself is going to meet again in October to look at applications and hopefully award some money to those folks that have already submitted applications. So any questions, come see me after the meeting, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for your help in this area. It's needed so bad, so. Anyone else? Yes.
Yeah, Ron Malachi, Highland Falls. I hate to get ugly, but people ask me questions. I don't know why they ask me the questions, but I stand up in front of the village and I ask questions. And people are asking me about the storm emergency declaration. And all the monies that are being spent, like here, this bills and claims of $325,000. Previously it was $525,000. Now, 2 meetings ago it was over $700,000. You know, there's really no oversight on what these bills are. I wish you would publish it and put it on the website. It doesn't need to be handed out in detail. But people want to know who's getting these contracts, no bid contracts. They're asking about this. But why does this issue keep happening? And it happens because, well, Mr. Mayor, you pled guilty to some things with the village monetarily that with no explanation. And you promised in a couple of village board meetings over a year ago that you would give an explanation, and that has not happened. And no apology either has ever been given. So no wonder people ask about emergency declaration, no contract bids going out, who's getting the money. Hey, you know, 5,000 here, 10,000 there, 50,000. People would like to know. We'd like to, maybe some oversight, we'd like to publish out there. And if you don't want to speak up, maybe the employees who did speak up will raise their hand again and let the public know what really happened. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Anyone else?
Well, I think he had a question though.
What's the question?
Ron is asking, you know, what is, you have mentioned many times before that the truth will
I'm not
come out.
I'm not going to
So
put
what
other.
is the truth?
I'm not going to put other folks. I'm not going to address it. Okay. And as far as FEMA, something had to be done right away. That's what the declaration of emergency declaration is. Okay.
Yeah, I know, and I understand, and it's,
Well, I'm not sure that you do
something that has to
understand.
do, and it's
I don't
something that
actually.
needs to
I
be done.
think you don't understand, but that's my opinion. There's a list of everything that was spent so far, the date, the cost, the date, the invoice number, who, what department, whether it was the fire department or the water department. Yes, immediately we bought, I don't know, Jim, how many trucks in here with stone? Because Browns Hill was gone, road, couldn't get to the water, couldn't get to the sewer plant for, no, excuse me. Excuse me. I couldn't get to the sewer plant for a day and a half. Couldn't get there, our workers. So trucks of stone were brought in to put the road.
I've attended every meeting, I've heard all the stories.
No, well,
What happened.
why do you bring it up then?
Because people are asking me about where the money is being spent. There's
Ask
no
them the
oversight,
contract.
there's no publication of where the
There's
money
no
is
oversight,
in the contract.
no oversight, the whole board pays the bills. They look at them
A
before they
lot
pay
of, a lot
them.
of the board are your neighbors, you
So don't
know,
say-
so I don't know.
There's no one up here, that's my neighbor.
Okay.
Enabler, not a neighbor, enabler, they help you.
Okay, thank you.
I think Ron's question is, are we still?
I don't
state of
need,
emergency?
I don't need you
That was answered last
to
Or has that been?
tell me what he's
already
saying.
ended?
I don't need you to tell me what he's
Well,
saying.
but-
I understand English,
Yeah, but
and I
you should
understand where you're coming from.
You shouldn't talk to the public like that.
Okay.
Right.
You,
So what I'm asking-
don't teach me how to talk to the public,
So,
not you.
well, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
apologize. I'm just wondering.
If an explanation is coming
Yeah.
shortly, an apology or something, let us know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron,
I did have
thank
a
you,
question.
thank you very much.
I had a question. Elise, are we still in a state of emergency or is that over already?
States of emergency by law
30 days.
expire 30 days unless.
You were told that a couple of meetings ago,
Yes.
right here in this room, sitting right here.
No, I.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did, yes, you
You
did.
said we-
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you so much.
okay, so that's settled. We're no longer in a state of
Anyone
emergency,
else?
so we're being accomplished.
Okay. Do you have anything?
Yeah, if you have a list there of all of the itemized expenditures for the flood-related costs, where is that available to the public?
You could foil it.
Okay, but it's not just posted for us to see anywhere?
The only thing in this set of bills that's flood-related is something that the board approved at a prior meeting, which was the
The water
$209,000.
tank. We were gonna lose the water tank.
So we approved that, the board approved the dollars, the expense, the work was done, and so now we paid the bill. That's all. From what I'm looking at from the list of bills. Flood-related, your comment was flood-related, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
that
so
was.
far, flood-related
Right.
was the 209. It's
Okay.
209 and change.
So on just a regular basis of what we pay as the village in billing, is that available to the public or does it have to be requested?
I guess.
Freedom of information act.
You have to-
Yeah,
You get it, you get it.
Yeah, yeah, it can be foiled,
It could be foiled, yeah.
that's all public,
It's all public information.
so it can be foiled at any time by anyone.
I think that's all they're asking. They're saying, you know, if we are approving these bills every single time we have a meeting, can we tell them what we are actually approving instead of just saying 395,000 this week, 595,000 last week, $750,000 the week before? That's all. They're
That's-
asking, and you're saying,
You wanna
yes,
go
oh,
bill
this
by
is
bill?
public
Yeah, you
information,
want-
but in
Well,
order for
actually,
them
I
to
was
get it,
at
it has to be void.
I was at the town meeting last week, and they had under their bills and claims a few items that were of the larger things,
That's what I just did.
laid out
Yeah.
on here. Well, having it written down for the public
Yeah,
to
okay,
have, I think
okay.
would be beneficial.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
So is FEMA, or do we already have an approval on that, or when are we gonna find out after? Because we keep saying we're gonna get reimbursed by FEMA, we don't really know that to be true, right?
Yeah. I think, yes.
For the questions of FEMA, there's a couple answers. One, we have been approved for this type of work that's being done. Now, for personal homes, we've been approved for the village-related stuff, the sewer plant, the water plant, roads, stuff like that. We've had the inspectors out here, they have reviewed this stuff. They do have a place under FEMA that's emergency response work, stuff that has to be done immediately. They have a protocol for how we submit the bills and what can be submitted, what can't. We've been following all of that stuff. We've actually had a liaison from FEMA that's been helping us with this process because it's a very complicated process. And we are, as far as FEMA is concerned, right on track. And they actually complimented the village on how squared away our information has been and paperwork's been. And our responses have been getting very quickly. We had, last Thursday and Friday, I had inspectors out here touring. Next Thursday and Friday, I have them touring the sewer plant, water plant, all those. And those are the final inspections to approve the work that wasn't done emergency work. Everything we've been doing was something that, if we didn't do it, we wouldn't be able to pass our like requirements with the DEC and stuff for the sewer plant, the water plant, and stuff like that. There's some emergency repairs that could wait. The other major expenditures that are coming will all be pre-approved by FEMA before we get it done. We submit the paperwork, and then we do get reimbursed. We don't get 100% reimbursement done. We get, I believe it's 75%, and we're hoping that the state will come through and offer up another 12.5%, but nobody's offered that as of yet. But as far as the questions that you guys had about the FEMA stuff, everything that we've done and approved bills for is stuff that FEMA's already told us it was an emergency needed to be done and this spent the bills.
Okay, so FEMA has said that they're gonna come help us. We're asking for $36.5 million, but they haven't told us how much they're gonna help us with out of that $36.5 million. And even if they approve the entire $36.5 million that we asked for, they're only gonna give 75% of that. So we're gonna have to come up with the other 25%, or maybe just 12.5% if the county actually gives the other 12.5%.
Actually, it comes from the state.
State, I mean. So that's where we are with the FEMA thing. They said they're gonna come help, but they just haven't told us how much. Okay.
Well, the issue with why they haven't told us how much, that's not an issue, so it shouldn't sound like one. Last Thursday, we've given them a list, you correct me where I'm wrong, we've given them a list, and last Thursday and Friday, they were here all day, both days, and we had one day was roads, another day was
They send out
culverts.
specialists.
Yeah, this Thursday and Friday is the water plant, the sewer plant, and so they're not done. They're not done.
But we also brought them to the projects that were emergency prepared, and they reviewed them and had recognized those projects, the water tank, the major sewer line that we had that burst in by the stream, and the redirecting of the water on Wood State Road. They've all been recognized by FEMA and agreed upon that they need.
Okay, anything else?
And just real quick, before you make a comment, the $36 million represents really a guesstimation based upon July 9th and the 2 or 3 weeks that you have to get some numbers into FEMA. You have to get something into them. They need numbers to require the process to start. So the 36 million, you know, it could be 38 once they come through and go through their process. You know, could end up being 34. So that's what the process is going on now. You know, they may say we're going to cover 75% of A, B, and C on one section of the road. So you have to say, well, listen, the other section of the road that you don't want to cover happened because of A, B, C. So there's a little bit of a negotiation, and there's a little bit of a, you know, providing documentation and going on site with the engineers. So again, be careful. You know, 36 million might not be the final number that we have to worry about. Same position that the town is in. Same position that the town is in. We put an estimate together, their engineers put it out, and they're probably going through a similar process, I would imagine.
They're exactly the same.
Yeah.
We have them Thursday, Friday, I believe, and Tuesday, Wednesday, they were there.
So, and it's every day or every other day, if they're not on site, you're changing the numbers, you're updating the estimations, you're talking to potential, you know, other contractors, what they're, you know, it's a whole thing, so it's daily.
And just so everybody knows, the village residents are gonna be paying part of that bond in the town. Comes out of one of the funds that we have to pay. So you're not only gonna be paying here, we're gonna be paying at the town level as well.
Melanie, you have anything?
Yes, okay, so, after the last board meeting, I had 10 people come ask me about this, the building department and the landlord registry, which a lot of people don't seem to know anything about, right? Like I said, there are 1,100 homeowners in this 1 square mile of the village. And about 50% of those homeowners are landlords. They actually don't live there. They're absent landlords, right? And what you have to do, if you're renting your house out, even if it's not for a profit, you're renting it out, or it's for hire, or you have family member living there, you actually have to go to the building department and fill out a form. And it's $10. It's for us to know who owns and who's living in your building, okay? I think, one of the questions that was asked was, if it's a single family home, does that count? Yes, so Mr. DeSalvo, yes, you have to register your second home if you're not living in it and renting it out. You were the building department liaison for a number of years. You've been in village politics for a long time. You should really know the rules, right? And in fact, if you fail to comply by not, I've registered mine for the past 2 years. The fine is really between $250 to $1,000 and up to 15 years in prison if it's your third violation. So here's the other issue that comes with that, right? Alina had asked us, like, why are we not enforcing these rules? Why is the building department not enforcing these rules? And this is the answer. The building department has the authority to issue those violations. They will issue 1, 2, 3 violations and ask you to remedy them, okay? And those usually come from other residents. They have to complain formally to the building department and say, hey, my neighbor has trash all over the place, right? And it's been like that for months. I'm complaining, then we come, we investigate it, right? And then we issue violations. But ultimately, the building department is not, they don't arrest anyone, okay? They don't handcuff anyone. They ultimately have to come back to the board and say, this guy is not doing anything. He's not fixing what the complaint is about. The village board then makes a decision on how to remedy that, or it goes to the court system. So it really is out of the building department's hands. They can completely ignore it, and a lot of people have ignored it, right? Just ignore it, and we just keep issuing violations, and they go to court, they lawyer up. I explained all of this at the last village board meeting, but we can actually use the police to help us enforce a lot of these to remedy the violations. The village board can do that, the court system can do that, but the building department itself, Phil Hannawalt, he doesn't arrest them, he just issues those violations. You can look at all these codes. The village code is actually online. It's on E360. If you go to the Highland Falls, New York website, those codes are actually on there as a link. It's very, very cumbersome. It's very, very long. The landlord registry is in chapter 128. The property maintenance is in chapter 170. And the enforcement is in chapter 170-7, if you want to know. If you want to read more about it. But yes, absolutely, if you feel like there are things that you're seeing on Main Street, why are those things like that? Come to the building department, write a formal complaint. We can't just randomly go in people's houses and knock on their doors and say, without somebody really giving us the authority to do it. That's all I have.
Oh, yeah. So this is the August report that we just got in, totals for the sewer treatment. Our average volume down there that we treated for the month was 834,000 gallons. I think you made this wrong. Anyway, the precipitation was 7 inches. We got rain again today. I was getting water in my basement again. Facility met all of the New York State DEC speedies permit. Hellwood and Webb Lane, they're checking regularly that the pumps are doing well. Belt press is doing good. We had Adventus Construction down there. They installed all the new motors and the equipment for the bar screen. And the grit removal system is not up to par yet because of the damage in the elevator room. Facility employees are still cleaning up from flood damage and they continue their general maintenance. A couple other quick things. Yesterday was Constitution Day. Here's a copy of the Constitution. There's a program out there that we can get these books into the school system. If anybody would like to help me do that, it costs pennies, and we can make sure the school, each one of the kids, especially the 4th grade kids, because they're really interested in this, can get one of these books. I mean, this is what we were founded on. So anybody that wants to help out there, please come and see me, and we'll get together and we'll see what we can do with the 4th graders. Also, a local citizen had some brain damage, and she has started a group, and it's called Second Chances. And it's going to be at the Hudson Highlands United Methodist Church Center for us old timers. That was the old post office right on Webb Lane. It's the Mason Building. That's going to happen on the 2nd and 4th Thursdays of the month from 6:30 to 7:30. That's 316 Main Street. She's also going to have a booth at the Fall Foliage Festival, and she's going to be talking about Happy Brain Day, which is in November. She's going to be giving out bike helmets, so if anybody would like to help donate some bike helmets, that would be greatly appreciated. And just a couple quick things on the charging station. Still waiting to get a little bit of feedback from ChargePoint. Like I said at the last meeting, I'm hoping that we can set it up at 40 cents per kilowatt hour. I did some research at other municipalities. They charge anywhere from 25 cents to $1.75. I think 40 cents is reasonable. I did say at the last meeting that after 4 hours we should charge $1. I'm a reasonable guy. I think some people talk to me, and we should probably do it after they are fully charged. And we're going to give them an hour grace period. So I'm waiting to get that solidified through ChargePoint, and we can go from there. Because the average charge station at our charge station down there in the last 30 days was 3 hours and 6 minutes. So that's not a bad time down there. It's not going to cost that much. But another little tidbit of information, since that station has been put in down there, we have avoided 53,337 kilos of greenhouse emissions. That's like planting 1,368 trees. The station's doing well, but it's about time that the people that are using it start to help pay for it. So, like I said, it's just a few more things that I need to get ironed out, and then we can get that up and running. And when you go on the website, it's kind of funny. It's just like Facebook. Some people complain. People have been down there pulling out the chargers on other people when their car's already charged. Some people said it broke their charge point portion. So, you know, if you're down there and you're charged, you know you're on your app. You're getting an alert that you're charged. Just go down and be, you know, a good citizen and take your car off there so somebody else can use it. Mr. Mayor, that's all I got.
Okay.
Just a couple quick things. As everybody knows, Bog Meadow's full, so there's plenty of water. There's plenty of water. Everybody knows that Jack Sibley retired, and he's went elsewhere to work. We are receiving applications. It still closes till the 27th for the waste for the water department supervisor. Right now we have 2 people still that have a license, so we are in compliance. And then we're wind up on starting the interviews next week. And like I said, the position doesn't close till 27th. Everything else as far as Bog Meadow Road, I mean, it's still pretty good up there. Just please be careful going up there. You know, you bring your animal, you're up there fishing or whatever the case is. The police are patrolling it quite a bit up there because there's some people that complain. You know, there's people driving erratically up there and so forth. That's it all I have for that report. But if anybody Saturday night saw something pretty cool in the sky, my wife, she watches all that crazy ancient alien stuff, and I thought I saw a UFO Saturday night. I'm outside smoking a cigar, and there's lights coming over, and I didn't know what it was. And I put it on Facebook, and my cousin then told me it was the Starlink satellite. It was pretty cool. It was like 30, 40 lights coming in a row. It just hovered and all of a sudden disappeared. That thing takes 90 minutes to go around the world. It was, but there's like 36, 3,000 something in the sky. So on a clear night, they said you can see it. It was a pretty cool sight. I don't know if anybody ever saw it before, but I didn't know if there was something in my cigar or not. I wasn't too sure. So I was all right though. But yes, it was pretty cool. But that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Jim?
A couple quick things. In regards to the comment that I could be potentially facing 15 years in jail.
No, 15 days.
Oh, 15 days.
I heard you.
I heard yours. I was nervous.
Yeah, I thought I heard yours too.
Registered
I was
car.
able to visit the Orange County Jail, and it's actually a pretty nice facility. They've spent a lot of money up there. I remember when I was on the legislature, we did a lot of upgrades up to that jail. And the sheriff, Paul Arteta, is a fine man that was elected this past November. So if it's 15 days, so be it. I'm sure they'll have pretty good accommodations. I still hold true that I believe single-family homes are exempt from that landlord registry. The landlord registry gets triggered when the building or code enforcement officer does a fire inspection on multiple unit dwellings. So when they have multiple units, the code enforcement officer can go in and do a fire inspection. And when they do the fire inspection, they could maybe say, hey, we know you noticed you're not registered, maybe you need to register. Again, Mr. Hannawalt down at the town does a fine job. The secretary, Gabby, does a fine job. I think my comments from the last meeting that were misconstrued at the town board meeting, because you know there's an election coming up in November, is that Mr. Hannawalt needs more help. It's not about this job that he's doing. He's doing a great job. I think the whole board thinks that. Nobody said that up here. He just needs help. He needs help. He needs resources. So as the town enters their budgeting process, which will start probably very, very soon, you know, there's a lot going on top of dealing with all the flood stuff and getting engineer reports and getting structural work done. You know, he needs assistance. They need assistance, even if it's temporary. Maybe it's just a year, maybe it's 18 months. Maybe we can find somebody who is retired and they want to come back to work and they work part-time. Whatever the town board ends up deciding to do, but we have a consolidated service that we need. I think the board is going for additional help for that department. Not frowning on Mr. Hannawalt, the job that they're doing, him and his team are doing down there. That's not what was said at the last meeting. That takes care of that. In regards to the police department, we've got a letter here from Officer in Charge Jason Torpy. On behalf of the Village of Highland Falls, I'm just going to read it to the public. On behalf of the Village of Highland Falls Police, Department, I am very pleased to announce a grant that we have received in the amount of $18,096.90. I'm just reading it verbatim. This grant was secured on 9/15/2023 by Detective Bailey and myself. This grant is from New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services and will be used for our live scan equipment program. Live scan is the fingerprints. They don't do the ink anymore. The equipment that will be purchased will replace the outdated and broken equipment the police department currently uses for arrest processing. In addition to that, we do have a monthly report that's generated by the police department. To hit you with a couple of the quick highlights. A total of 10 arrests were made. We had roughly 1,000 calls for August, and the total mileage was around 5,200 miles, 5,200 miles. So, you know, it is a little department, but they stay pretty busy. And just to echo what Mr. Ramos said, there was a fantastic article in the paper by Ms. Pitt in the News of the Highlands in regards to Ms. Sibley, who is in fact working with this, you know, great program about folks with brain injuries. And if you have, they have other meetings, like they have like a month, sometimes they have a monthly meeting or they get together. So if you have any questions with that, secondchances427@gmail.com. So second chances, one word, 427 with that at gmail.com. And that's all I have.
Jimmy, you have one more?
Yeah, it's, I apologize, I got one more thing. Mary Jane had an article in the paper, as everybody knows, this is Suicide Prevention Month. It was also mentioned at the town board's last meeting. I have been working with the Veterans Administration, a couple of guys in there, and there's a Veterans Crisis Hotline out there. It's confidential. It's 1-800-273-8255, press 1. And what they had given me are a lot of these locks. So anybody that would like a lock for their firearm, or an explanation of why this actually slows that process of somebody maybe that's contemplating that. The Veterans Association has given me 50 of these. I can get as many as we need. I can put these at Village Hall. I'm gonna put a box over at the police station as well. They're free. They're free. So anybody that needs one at the meeting, come and see me after the meeting. If not, they'll be at Village Hall and at the police department.
Yeah, I was just hoping to get an update. You had discussed more about the charging stations and how much that you're looking to charge for those. When is that charge going to be implemented? Do you have a date for that yet?
Don't have a date yet. I'm waiting to hear back from Charge.
Okay, and how much does it cost us per kilowatt for the electricity?
Well, it depends how many kilowatts we use. And obviously the kilowatt cost changes, it fluctuates. If you look at your bill, your electric bill, in the beginning of the year, it was like nothing. And now it's up to, I think, 11 cents. I think that's because they knew about everybody was gonna switch. You go to the green, and all of a sudden O&R came way down. So that fluctuates, but I can give you an average over a year of what it has cost us per kilowatt hour at that point. Just let me do a little more research on it, all right?
Okay, yes, I'm just curious as to whether what we're charging is going to at least match what we're being charged so that our costs are eliminated.
All right, so I didn't understand your question. Absolutely, it's gonna cover our costs.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And it was stated at the last meeting that we would have an actual explanation as to why the green point was denied?
Yeah, I have it here, I haven't had a chance to read it, but there's a lot of paperwork here about green spot. So I'll try to get it done by the end.
And actually, in a small nutshell, if they would've came in, they had exclusive rights to the whole parking lot. That's not the capital system way. I mean, if somebody else, if Greenville wants to come in and put one in, then let them. But I think then you're having competition. Maybe Tesla wants to put one in. You know what I mean? But for us to sign a contract exclusively for one entity there, I don't think it's fair.
And there were several other issues, and I'll try to get it into some type of order and say something. I gotta take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay.
Carried.